Hey, what's up guys? This is my 2011 Mercedes-Benz R350 Blue Tech, and just like every one of my cars, it is fucking old. If you're just joining the channel, welcome. One thing you should know about me is that I only work on old, rusty pieces of cars. And the reason for that is because they are much better built and they're actually maintainable. Also, I'm very cheap, but that's neither here nor there. There's a lot of benefits of owning old cars. Obviously, parts are cheaper, easier to maintain. One of the main drawbacks is obviously technology in these vehicles is outdated, is sort of putting it lightly. This is a 2011, which means that the entertainment package and everything else inside of it is now at the better part of about 14, 15 years old. And it's not any better for any of the rest of my vehicles. This one doesn't have a radio. I'm not really sure what this is, but I think you can load up MP3s on it and then it goes in that hole. This one looks more fancy, but it's been upgraded. And frankly, I'm not really all that impressive. But since the R-Class is my daily, I spent a lot of time in this and I was trying to figure out the good way to upgrade the stock system. Now, this isn't horrible by any stretch of imagination. It does what it's supposed to do. It plays radio and it has Bluetooth for the phone, which both work perfectly fine. Problem is, it does not allow you to play music from your phone over Bluetooth. So you always have to plug an auxiliary cable into your phone, which is very annoying when you sit in the car and you have to do it every single time. So for the last couple of months, I've been trying to find an alternative to doing this. Obviously, you can buy the entire head unit with Android Auto, but a lot of folks have issues with the integration of these aftermarket units with the vehicle. Now, lucky for me, the folks at Carpodgo reached out with their T3 Pro model, which they sent me to try in the R-Class because I think it may solve all of my problems. So in today's video, we're gonna pop this thing open, set it up in the car, and see if it really is as good as they say. Now, before we open the box and take a look at the unit, let's see what else comes in the package. We've got the rear view camera. We've got a very nice long cable that will allow us to plug the camera into the unit in the front of the car. We have the windshield mount, which will use the magnetic base. We have a current stabilizer for the camera if you're having issues with the image. And we have a very nice universal Bluetooth adapter, which should allow you to use a Bluetooth as an auxiliary input to pretty much any car by powering up through the USB and plugging this into your car auxiliary port. We may have to use this in this vehicle. I don't know yet. We'll see how the screen goes. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't generally get surprised by products very often. And as a side note, I hate Apple. I'm not really a huge fan of Apple. I've only ever bought one laptop from Apple. And the only thing I love about that brand is their packaging and their designs. They are absolutely phenomenal. And this very much feels like an Apple product. The packaging is very slick. Everything looks very good. So I'm quite excited about popping this thing open. Let's take a look. All right, we've got more goodies in the box itself, but let's take a look at that screen. This is very slick. You've got a very nice magnetic base at the back, which is actually very strong. So I suspect once we have the mount up, this is not going to go anywhere. This is actually very hard to remove. Now, this is a 60 frame per second screen, and we're going to test this later, but that means that you're going to have very smooth transition between the various options on the screen. And also it's full lamination screen. So as you can tell, it's very slick transition between the casing and the actual screen. You can see the size of the screen, which is smaller if you tilt it to the right light. But as you're looking at it from a distance, it is a beautiful bezel-less screen. So I think right about here will be a good spot for the screen. And the only concern I've got is whether I'm going to be able to stick it to this part of the dash, or maybe I'm going to have to use a slicker plastic here. We can also put it on the glass and move it back. That's another option. We're going to have to play with the mounts and figure it out. The screen is heavy, so what you want to do is you definitely want to rest it on something. You do not want the screen to be hanging up in the air because you're going to have quite a lot of motion going around it. All right, screens up there, phones here. This is the original multimedia. They do have a power outlet right there, which I intend to use to power up the screen. And I also have my auxiliary input on the side here. Now, this is not super convenient, to be honest with you. I don't know why anybody would put that there as opposed to, for example, here, where it's actually close to any device you may plug in. But I'm not going to pretend like I understand Mercedes designers. This is a bit of a silly location. Once you press the little power button, on the actual power supply. The screen is very fast to power on. It is up and running in less than 10 seconds. That was pretty impressive. All right, next thing we do is we need to set up the screen to connect with the phone, the rest of the car, and figure out what the best way is to make this work. I prefer to start off without reading the manual, because to me, that is a clear indication as to how user-friendly a screen is. If you can set this up without really going into a detailed description, PDFs, and downloading a bunch of stuff, I think it's going to be a good sign. So first things first, obviously time's off. So we're probably going to have to go into, I imagine, settings. We want to go date and time, 2025. So there we go. Clock's updated. That was very straightforward. As far as language is concerned, obviously it comes preset up as English, but you've got quite a lot of choice between your menus here. We're going to keep it in English for ease of use. The next thing we want to do is connect to Bluetooth. So let's go over to Bluetooth, or if we go back to the home screen, you've got a shortcut right there for Bluetooth. It displays the name. So now we're going to go in the phone, in the Bluetooth menu, and we're going to find PND 1538, PND 1538. Let's pair that up. Yep, we definitely want to pair. Immediately, Android Auto came up, connected to Carpodgo. Continue. And that's it. Very quickly, map came up, Spotify came up. This is Android Auto the way I've set it up on my other vehicle. This was very straightforward, really nothing complicated with this. 3 buttons and you're ready to go. Now, if you've used Android Auto or Apple CarPlay before, a lot of options. I'm not going to go into details as to how to set up Android Auto. This is not what this video is about. But this screen looks phenomenal. The resolution on this is 1920 by 720 and it is crisp. Like, this is a nice looking screen. The size is excellent. It's not overbearing. It's certainly a good map display compared to the original screen, which does not obviously display anything. So I'm quite excited about this. And frankly, the connection to the phone was seamless. I mean, this was very, very fast. Most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, I would like to use the screen as the audio output into the vehicle's auxiliary audio input, while I maintain the phone capability on the original unit because it's integrated with the vehicle, microphones, etc. Now, to do that, we're going to have to pop into the audio output. And the screen has very good functionality, which is the display only Bluetooth. And in a car which has audio and phone Bluetooth connectivity, that's great. So you only have the screen for the display for Android Auto, but the screen is not interfering with the vehicle phone connection through Bluetooth. Now, I do not want to use the FM transmitter. That's just silly. And I definitely don't want to use the speaker on the screen. So really the only other option is we have the auxiliary, which is going to ask us to actually restart the screen. That's fine. Once again, super fast launch. So if we go into the input now again, now it's displaying the scenario that I'm actually trying to do, which is the screen plugs into the auxiliary of the vehicle. Now I've already got the screen plugged into the car, so we got to find some content to see if the audio is going to work. Well, look at these amazing videos. And there we go. Sounds coming out of the speakers. So phone through Bluetooth connected to the screen, screen through an auxiliary cable connected to the car. So this functionality is great. This is working out well. The last thing we definitely want to confirm here is, as you can tell, I've got 2 devices hooked up. I've got the Mercedes Bluetooth and I've got the Carpodgo Bluetooth. Mercedes is connected for calls. The Carpodgo is connected for calls and audio. I do want this only connected for audio. I do not want my phone calls going to the Carpodgo. So we're going to have to test this and see if the 2 devices will confuse each other or if they're going to be okay. So as you can tell, I've got the main unit picking up the Bluetooth and the screen picking up the unit. So I don't want to do that because the 2 of them are just going to fight with each other. Yeah, unfortunately, I thought this was going to be a problem, and it is. When the central unit and the screen are both connected to Bluetooth, I cannot control which device gets the phone call. So they're both connected for calls. The screen is also connected for audio. We tested that, that works fine. The problem is that when we receive a phone call, both units pick that call up and then they start fighting as to who's going to answer what. And now I have to go in the phone and manually select where the output goes, which is not something I want to do while I'm driving. This is not a good option. I disabled the phone connectivity for the screen, but it keeps coming up automatically. Basically, as soon as I turn it off, it reconnects and just enables the phone. I imagine the screen itself is declaring itself as a phone and audio device, and you basically Bluetooth will not allow me to disable that. That may be something the manufacturer can improve, But as of right now, this is no different than any screen that I've tested or played with in the BMW, in the Sprinter. Any one of them does the exact same thing. The only way I can go around this right now is to actually disable the Bluetooth on the central unit, which is not ideal. That's not what I wanted to do. The central unit is integrated with the car, the speakers. It has a built-in microphone, which is obviously a better quality than the screen one. But I did test the phone connectivity with the screen only, with the central unit disabled, and it's fine. The other person can hear me on the line. It's not as good as the built-in microphone, but it is fine and it will do the trick. So for now, I'm going to leave the Bluetooth connectivity on the car disabled and go with the screen because I do want to use the benefits of the screen and the Bluetooth connectivity so I don't have to plug in the cable into my phone every single time. It will basically stay up. That's about it for this screen, folks. It is a fantastic unit. It's very easy to install. It looks beautiful. It's a high resolution screen. The 60 frames per second is phenomenal. This is a very fast unit. You're not going to see any lag going through the menus at all. I did not even touch the user manual. That's how easy this thing is to set up. Now, I did not test the review camera, but I have set them up on screens before, and I have no doubt it looks absolutely fantastic. I do have one problem with the screen, and it's not this particular unit. It's every screen I've tested so far that's had this limitation. On your cell phone, as you turn your phone around from landscape to portrait mode, the image generally rotates around, depending on what it is, right? Like if you're watching a video, it's going to rotate around, website, stuff like that. So you can hold your phone this way or that way, and everything will be fine. If you think about it, these screens are meant to be universal. In other words, they're supposed to go in any car, in any sort of setup, whether it is left-hand drive, right-hand drive, windshield install, whatever. Yet every single one of these screens has a fixed image. In other words, you cannot rotate the image as you rotate the screen. In this setup, as you can tell, the screen's correct installation puts the cables on the left. Now, as I already mentioned, my auxiliary input is here and my power is down there. In other words, I have to cross over these cables through the dash and put them in the right spot. The best option for me would have been to rotate the screen 180 degrees so the cables come out this side and come down. It's a much cleaner setup. I cannot do that. The image is fixed and cannot be rotated. This unfortunately also extends to the camera image. In other words, the camera footage cannot be rotated in any shape or form. This means that the camera itself has only one correct way to be installed for the image to be right side up as you watch it on the screen. Now, you can imagine as a universal device, that is somewhat limiting because you may want to put the camera like this or like this, depending on what your setup is. And this became very apparent when we did the camera setup in the Sprinter because the way we install the camera is in fact upside down through a software function. You should be able to give me a setting that says image this way, image 180 degrees. Okay, fine. Don't give me 90. Do not give me the portrait mode. Probably doesn't make any sense to have a portrait mode on this screen, this car, but I should be able to rotate the image on the screen and I should be able to rotate the camera feed on the screen to get the most optimal setup in my vehicle. That's about the only issue I've got with these screens. It's not limited to the Carpodgo at all. So do not take that as a drawback of this particular screen, but it's more of an aspirational thing that I think one of these manufacturers should really figure out because this is a software function. It should be a very straightforward thing for somebody to implement, but I digress. That's it for this one, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I do like this unit, and if you are in the market for a screen, check out the link below for a $50 coupon with my discount code. As always, if you like what you see, click a thumbs up. If you want to see more, click subscribe. And if you do have any questions, post them below and I'm going to try and get back to you as fast as I can. All right, see you next time.